Ladies and gentlemen, we move to the second keynote for the day and the final keynote for the Impact Conference of the AI for COVID project. So our final keynote speaker is Professor Roshan Ragel. He was appointed as a senior lecturer in computer engineering at the University of Peradeniya in December of 2007 and has been a professor at the same university since October of 2017. He has been a professional member of the IEEE and the IEEE Computer Society since 2005 and a senior member since 2014. Professor Ragel has co-authored almost 200 peer-reviewed articles on topics including systems on chip, the Internet of Things, bioinformatics, wearable computing, and digitization of local language text. He has won several Best Paper Awards in conference papers and the most prolific Sri Lankan Author Award from Elsevier Research in 2017. And he has also won the Presidential Award for Scientific Publication in Sri Lanka in 2018. He was also named a top scientist in computer science in Sri Lanka in years 2021 and in 2022, the best scientist in computer science in the country in 2023 by the AD Scientific Index. He's a recognized top-tier 4-star awardee by the University of Peradeniya for research excellence under the Transparent Research Performance Scheme introduced by the University Grants Commission. He was a visiting research scholar at the University of New South Wales, Sydney, QUT in Brisbane, UIUC in Illinois, and ANU in Canberra. Professor Ragel, over to you to speak to you on AI for IoT, emerging trends, and future directions.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this session, and thank you for the opportunity. And it was good, like the last presentation was actually touching upon what I was going to say next, so we can continue from there. The topic for me is AI for IoT. So I'm going to just talk about AI for IoT first, and then I'll also talk about a few emerging or future trends. So what's going to happen next, sort of. Right, so usually I used to give this talk on IoT and emerging trends. Now that this audience is more towards AI, so I thought of including AI. And I realized I don't have to change anything else in my slides. Right, so the only thing is I just had to change the title, which also means I was already talking about AI a lot in my IoT talks. So it's a matter of including or changing the title. That was partly a joke, but generally true. Right. So I'll just start with what IoT is. In fact, the previous presentation on AI and data was talking about having data, collecting data. So from where are these data coming from? Right. One option, you can sit in front of a computer and put this data in, or key this data in. Or you can use things like your wearable devices from where you can collect this data. Or can we also collect this data from our environment in addition to the wearables, right? So all these devices from where we want to collect this data, that's what we are going to call as Internet of Things, or IoT in short. So just to reiterate, Internet, as we know, was invented for connecting people. So we wanted to connect to each other, communicate with each other. So we figured out a way of doing it using some devices, and that's where the internet was born, right, to make it simple and straightforward. But at the same time, we also wanted to put a lot of devices around us, carry a lot of devices with us. So when you want to have all these put together, all these devices, can we make these devices talk to people and also talk to each other, right? So the idea of these devices talking to people and talking to each other is where the Internet of Things, part of the Internet, come into picture. So we can think of a lot of examples. I'm not going to go into many. In fact, during the last presentation about the applications on big data AI, again, I saw a number of, if you take healthcare, for instance, the examples that I took were wearables, watches, other sensors. All these are part of what we call these things, the Internet of Things. So just to give you a perspective, these numbers are coming from last year. So under the disruptive technologies, right? So under the disruptive technologies, the top one, as you can see, is mobile internet. And the third one in the list is Internet of Things. In fact, as you would have realized, the Internet of Things is excluding the mobile part of it. So mobile devices is also, we can consider it of Internet of Things, because they are things and they are connected to the Internet. However, you separate the mobile out and then look at the rest, then the Internet of Things. And the market share is in trillion actually, yeah, at the top, in several trillions. So again, as it was highlighted, the Internet of Things, how they become popular and also more reachable is with mobile and broadband and connectivity, right? So, and therefore things like 5G that was already mentioned in the previous presentation was also related. So with the 5G technology, the Internet of Things are forecast. In fact, this was forecast last year. These numbers are from, the graphs are from last year. So the forecast is with the 5G, the Internet of Things and their global market share is expected to increase a lot. So that's just to give you a perspective in terms of how much of it is done. So in fact, the number of devices that are connected to Internet by the end of last year is a lot more than the population of the planet. In fact, like we have about 30 billion devices connected to the Internet as of now. 30 billion with a B. So how IoT and Internet of Things, how these two things are connected, I wanted to see it from this industrial revolutions perspective. One more history, right? So you are talking about the AI history, the big data history, IR, industrial revolution. So industrial revolution, as you all know, why we are here, how we are right now with all these technologies. We can talk not just here, we can talk to anybody else in the world. Somebody sitting in a cafe or in Japan or Tokyo can talk to us. All that are possible starting from the Industrial Revolution. So, but Industrial Revolution started way back with the first one, and then the second one. First one is machines, second one is electricity, third one is automation, and the fourth one is related to putting this into digital world or digitalization, right? And there is an argument whether we are in the fifth revolution or not, but independent of that, what is next after 4IR or the fourth revolution is shown in one of this particular diagram. Is we are talking about 2020, but that is arguable, so we don't have to worry about the time. But the point is, Industry 5.0 or the fifth industrial revolution is related to how it is depicted here. Robo with some intelligence, hopefully, right? So this is what we do, right? As human, we wanted to think anything that is as good as us or better than us are like us, right? A good example is how do we all depict God, right? So we wanted to think God like human, but superhuman maybe, right? So something better. So same way, the next industrial revolution is supposed to be with human robots, the idea being robots are like people, and they can have all these other things, cognitive systems. Obviously, all these things, if you think about it, it's about integrating AI, right? But the question, just on a side note, the question whether we want to think the next thing or the next way how AI is going to be, is it going to be something like a robot coming and being like us? Even if you look at a lot of movies, the way how AI is taking over the world, right? So someone mentioned, brought an example yesterday, Mission Impossible and so on, right? So all that, we think about machines with AI coming and taking over, they being like us or better than us, that sort of an idea. However, there is like a contradicting opinion on this. For example, if you look at the talk from Harari in our Prof. Harari in this AI and the Future of Humanity, I recommend all of you to go and have a look at this talk. There's not enough time for me to go into it, but it shows a different picture. For instance, as humans, if we are to be controlled by AI, do we need robots with artificial intelligence to be there to do it, right? The answer seems to be what Prof. Harari argues is his answer is not true. So the idea can be just influencing you, ChatGPT influencing you, or BART influencing you, any OpenAI or any other system influencing you, human, right? So how are you all influenced? How are we all influenced? You know, like we have been influenced by religion for a very, very long time. How are we influenced? The argument he put forward, it's through language, right? So we are influenced by through language. So can an AI, a large language model, influence us to be the next whatever it wanted to be, right? So therefore, why I'm bringing this in is because robots with AI is what seems to be the next what you are thinking about, but it doesn't really have to be human like robots, but it can just be things that are around us, sensing us and communicating with us and also controlling us, right? So for instance, today morning, how many of you woke up not on your own, but by a wristwatch controlling you or telling you when to wake up, right? So starting from there, right? So starting from how you wake up and when to go to bed. Yeah, if I'm up after 10 o'clock, my watch is going to tell me you are up late. But about when I'm going to go and sleep, right? Please go do sleep. So if I'm sick, my watch is telling me, okay, this time, why are you not taking the tablets? Why don't you do it, right? So this is watch, but it doesn't have to be just watch. It can be everything else that is in the environment that is sensing, whether you are walking, whether you are eating, whether you are doing anything else, all that. We discussed all this earlier as well, a lot of different examples. All these examples are not going to be another robo, another human-like thing that is sitting next to you, but everything else that is out here that are sensing what you are doing and also communicating and controlling what's happening here. When I say control, it's not just about communicating to a human and controlling you, but also controlling other things, like for instance, one thing controlling another one. So you waking up, maybe your coffee machine turning on, right? So they communicate with each other and control, right? So such are all possible when you have a lot of things, and these things have some what is known as intelligence or artificial intelligence and coming together, right? So that's just a side note on how we think IoT or Internet of Things can be the glue between people and all this big data, not just the data, but also the AI. So that's just to give you my take on AI and IoT and how they are coming together. And next, the talk is, whenever I get an opportunity, obviously I'm going to go and tell what I am doing right? So this is that part, right? So the type of work we are doing here on or related to AI and IoT. I'll just quickly go through them, and I welcome any one of you interested to be part of it. Yeah. So also, if you want more details about any of these projects, you can go to this website. It's our like the project's website in the university for these particular topics, or these particular topics, projects.cepd and ACLK. So some of the projects that we are doing are things like building a platform where we can try different algorithms, AI-related algorithms, form algorithms, and so on. So this project where we can control them from outside, or put your algorithm onto a dashboard, and then you can visualize it, and so on. Right? So these are all ground up built from zero from here. There are other projects where we are like wearables and connected to that, recognizing human emotion, where AI is used, machine learning is also used with data collection and so on, and they are published. Another area we are working on is precision agriculture. This is a project where we worked with Queensland University of Technology. I had a couple of PhD students working on this. Again, in this particular example, it is unmanned aerial vehicles that go around, do precision agriculture. We are also building, or have built here, the greenhouse automation system with the Agriculture Biotechnology Center, where we collect a lot of data and also do controlling. Although we have not gone on to the level of making this a business, we have done things like health watch, not just like a watch for persons, but a group of watches that can be used in like a sort of a hospital sort of an environment, where there's a common dashboard where the patients and the caregiver like nurse or doctors can look at them and so on. And also recently we also started working with University of Western Sydney. So they are building with a research institution. They are building wearable devices on clothes, say for instance t-shirts, where we can do monitoring. So these are examples of devices that are connected to internet. More to come, mobile genomics, where we have all these small devices that are not built by us obviously, but they are used to collect data and do AI, machine learning particularly. So those are some projects that we are working on with various other institutions and collaborators. And next, the main topic for me is to just discuss a little more on the trends. What we think are the IoT trends that are happening and expected to happen in the near future. Right. So these are not things that are like very new. You would have already known them, but just to highlight and also to give some perspective related to AI. So as you know, we are already seeing a lot of, by the way, so I'm looking at these aspects, the trends in two aspects. One, generic ones from a user perspective, another one is technological one from a technologist perspective. Right, so from a user perspective, we are going to see a lot more smart homes. So when I say smart home, it doesn't have to be just home, any place, right? So smart homes, smart campuses, smart offices, smart cities, all sort of different situations, right? So all these are coming more, and with that we have a lot more data, and obviously all these are going to have a lot of sensing and communication, and also some controlling of other devices. So all that are going to happen, so that's keep increasing. And the next one is consumer, how people are going to start using it. What we see is those days when IoT or Internet of Things was introduced, it was mostly for the consumer market. It's for users, individual users, but then now we see a lot of trends in them going, this Internet of Things going into other industries, things like the examples I took like agriculture, the example of the medicine came up earlier as well, and different places. Even I took some examples. And transportation was mentioned somewhere yesterday, right? So, and any other fields. all these different fields, how Internet of Things can put things together and how they can become better. So in fact, it was also mentioned in the last presentation regarding how things like a supply chain management can be managed by AI, can be managed automatically without human intervention. Just to think about it, like let's say a factory here in Palekale, they want they are making something, starting from raw material, right? So can an AI figure out the whole process, right? So not just the pipeline of the manufacturing, but also the supply chain, starting from sourcing up to delivery, right? So everything in between, can they all be connected, right? So at one point, when I used to do the presentation earlier, before all these large language models, I used to think, okay, this integration has to happen by us. We had to do the integration, people, right? But then recently I realized there are people working on using AI to do the integration, meaning you tell the AI to do the integration, right? So you tell the AI, okay, this is what I want, tell me a way to do the integration, right? So we have gone in the language models to an extent where we can ask AI, tell us how to put these things together. There's a factory, this factory runs this pipeline, these are the places I am sourcing from, these are the target market. Give all these inputs and ask the AI, give me ways to integrate all this. How do I glue these things together? Give me a program, a piece of code that can connect this dashboard to that dashboard. Give me another piece of code where I can sell this, or connect it to another selling dashboard. Give me like a program where I can connect the containers or the shipping market, shipping industry. So all this, now people are working on at that level, like whether we can use AI to do, or ask the AI to do the integration, or the LLM to do the integration, or asking questions in that front, because most of this information are bit and pieces, they are in different places. Can a large language model bring them together? So that's also happening. Oh yeah, I already mentioned about it, but healthcare industry. So we can see healthcare, as it was already mentioned, is one of the largest industry and also the most sensitive and important. As you know, like the importance we are giving to the healthcare professionals everywhere, every part of the world, right? And therefore the importance, and therefore the importance we are giving to them. So that industry is picking up, doing a lot. We saw examples earlier as well, where we are, although the examples that the presentation yesterday about the scholar was not exactly talking about how the IoT part of it, like whether this data is collected centrally, whether they are controlled, and that sort of things are happening, but we can imagine a lot of such things. And also particularly if you want to collect all this data, and if you're going to use this data to do more, the AI part of it, obviously they have to be connected to internet, right? So that's how, that's the way of you take or make use of all this data and do more, right? So one obviously is to key in the data, the other one is to collect it using some possible sensors. That's just a user perspective, the trends. And the next one I'm going to talk about is a little on the technology perspective. From for us as technologists, or most of us, what are we seeing, or how the trends are going to go forward. With all these computing and communication, things like the broadband, 5G and so on, with all that, it is also possible, particularly with computing, it's also possible what is known as this edge computing, that is picking up and doing a lot. The idea of edge computing is whether we can do most of this processing, particularly processing when you want to do things like AI, in the edge itself. Edge meaning where the data is collected, right? So where the sensors are, right? So can we do the processing on the sensors itself without sending them across to a common place, to a central place? We call them cloud, whether we have to send them to the cloud or whether we can do it at the edge. So edge is not exactly the sensors itself, as you can see in the picture, it's just the next one, right? So sensors are going to just collect data, and then they're going to send it to a first computing device. right? So the first computing device that it is going to send it to is going to be some small microcontroller or some small processor that is sitting within the vicinity, right? So in fact, when I said there are about 30 billion devices or IoT devices, I was talking about the edge devices, right? So there is much more if you are just considering the sensors, right? So the 30 billion is the number of edge devices that are out there, right? So whether we can use them to do computing. So with that, a lot of new challenges like whether they can be used for computing, whether we can make them special, like, if you want to do computing at the edge devices are not the same. They are heterogeneous, they are different in different places. They are not the same because they are build specific. So the device that is on your phone is not the same as the one that is in your wristwatch or any other devices similar. So there's a lot of work that is happening in that area. Starting from how you can send the data, what to send up, what to send to the cloud, what to keep there, how you manage all that. So that's something that is happening, and particularly with AI, this is becoming a more challenging problem because, like I said, if you want to make decisions with AI, can we do it at the edge? So if you just want to do some simple computation, obviously you can now do it with the edge. But with all these new trends, whether it's possible is still a research question and people working on it. And the other trend is machine learning. That's what we are talking about for a while now, and particularly in these 2 days. So data, we are again talking about data. We discussed about data yesterday, how we can keep data secure with all these new technologies, things like the blockchains, whether we can share and keep data secure at the same time. There's also machine learning with the data that is out there and that we can collect together with the IoTs. There's a lot of things happening there. And with the data, obviously, we also can do decision making, whether we like it or not, right? So most of the time, we don't like machines to make decisions. So you were like a bit upset when I said, okay, we are waking up to the watch, right? So, but that is what the reality is, right? So, but it's not something that we really like to do, but as long as it's complementary, it still listens to what you want to do, what you want to say, then we are happy. Right, so that's more happening there. And yeah, so I already mentioned this earlier, so I'll not go into detail. So that there are 30 billion devices, and therefore when you have a lot of data, and these 30 billion devices are keep on collecting data, and therefore it's useful to use them in various places. I spoke about AI being a glue between a complete process, starting from like the manufacturing example I took. But that's just an example. It can be in every other place. So with that comes other challenges. So if a factory is running on its own, and if there's nobody there to look after the factory, no people there to look after the factory has to be taken care of by itself, right? So that's where things like whether predictive maintenance, can AI decide when to fix things, when to change machineries, when to repair things, when to update, when to put even things like fuel, whatever, right? So whatever is needed. All that, can AI come in and do this? There's a lot of work happening in this area. Predictive maintenance using AI. So that's all I have as examples. And as you would have realized by now, what we are really discussing is how we can use the things that are out here and things that are connected to the internet. Some of them we are wearing, some of them we are keeping, some of them are not just with us, they are somewhere else, right? Say, example, the camera there is not with us, that is sensing me, right? So how much can I do with it? What can I do with? So obviously with that sensing, the data that is collected of my video, a system that is out there can take it and do a lot of work in it, right? So it can figure out whether I'm happy, it can figure out whether I'm sad, whether I'm nervous, even emotions it can figure out, right? So which is a bit scary and not something that we want a machine to do, but it can do all that, right? So that's just an example, but there are millions of other things like the microphone here, right? So if the data that is going through the microphone can be digitized, it can be used to say things about me, right? And can few more things come into the picture and tell us what else can be done. So why I'm bringing these examples, like things that I'm not wearing or keeping, is because that is where we are heading. We are heading to a place where technology is not going to be something that we use or we hold, we take, right? So we carry and so on. It's just going to be there. We won't even see it's there, right? So it's just going to be there out there, and we'll not see that it is there, right? Just to give you an example, I'll finish my talk with a small, in fact, it's a little longer video. I know that I'm between your tea and myself, but I'll anyway play this video. So in fact, before playing the video, so this video is a TED Talk. You can listen to it later as well. The title is just there. The video is showing how just a device can be customized. The device starts from an LLM, something like ChatGPT, and it can be customized or personalized to your need. For example, there are questions about what do I go and buy when I go back home from to Malaysia, for example, right? So can an AI that is with me, that is built starting from an LLM, but customized to myself, and this AI knows me really well as anybody else, I hope, right? So not as good as how I know me, hopefully, right? So that's a bit more scary, but yeah, so knowing me and then telling things about me, telling all this. But the interesting other part is, given that this video also shows you how this interaction works, how this device becoming seamless, right? So without talking further, I'll just play the video, and I hope I'll not go the full video because of the time.
I spent 22 incredible years at Apple helping to design experiences and devices ranging from the Mac to the iPhone and to the Apple Watch. And as the power of compute increased, the size of our computers or our devices decreased. The desktop paved the way for extraordinary interconnected. Sorry, this is my wife. I'm gonna have to get this. Hello?
Hey, babe.
Hey, Bethany, how's it going?
Good, are you a TED?
Yeah, I'm on the red circle right now, actually.
Oh, great, good luck, and don't forget to mention me.
I won't, babe. Thank you.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. It's gonna get different in a minute. So my wife, Bethany, and our entire company at Humane have been working to answer the question of what comes next. And you may ask yourself, why? Why would anybody do this? It's because we love building technology that genuinely makes people's lives better. And we believed that artificial intelligence, or AI, would be the driving force behind the next leap in device design. And there is an incredible amount of stuff that's happening in this space. Huge advancements. And even Bill Gates has said of OpenAI's GPT that it's only the second most revolutionary technology demonstration that while remaining present in your surroundings, fixing a balance that's felt out of place for some time now. And I can't wait to share more details about what we've built, and I will in the next few months. But today I want to talk to you about what it unlocks and what it means to be able to take AI with you everywhere, and what happens when technology increasingly disappears. Technology becoming invisible affords us new opportunities of how we interact with compute. We've become so accustomed to tapping on an app or moving a cursor with a mouse, that it feels second nature. But that's by design. When I was working on the iPhone, I used to test interactions like slide to unlock with my infant daughter. She was the best possible focus group. She's 16 now, and she's got a lot more ideas than she did back then. This also, by the way, is the only non-AI generated image that you'll see from me today. And as I look at it now, I see more than ever why a future driven by AI is far better than a future that would involve more screens, like this. He's cute though. But for the human-technology relationship to actually evolve beyond screens, we need something radically different. Let me show you. Where can I find a gift for my wife before I have to leave tomorrow?
Vancouver's Granville Island is a lively shopping district.
That's an incredibly simple response for a very complex query. How often do we find ourselves in a new city, wrestling with our phones, trying not to bump into people, trying to figure out where we're going and where we're supposed to be? It's even harder when we don't speak the language, right? Let me show you something. Invisible devices should feel so natural to use that you almost forget about their existence.
Les appareils invisibles devraient sembler si naturels à utiliser. Vous oubliez presque leur existence.
You'll note that's me and my voice speaking fluent French, using an AI speech model that's part of my own AI. This is not a deep fake. In fact, it's deeply profound. This is my AI giving me the ability to speak any language, and you having a chance to hear me speak that language in my own emotion and my own voice. Thank you.
Maybe I'll stop there, and the rest you can watch later in the interest of time. Yeah, that's all I have, and thank you very much. Yeah, that was not. Maybe I'll remove it. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Raghav. I would now like to cordially invite Dr. Kundan Mishra, representative of the IDRC, to present the token of appreciation to our final keynote speaker for the day, Professor Roshan Raghav. Thank you, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings the first session for the day to a close. We